As many times as I say this, I think there are a lot of people who don't quite understand that what we do with a sword is not sport fencing, that we practice the sword as a martial art. I keep saying that, and people don't seem to quite understand what I mean, so I wanted to address that a little. In a way, I'm coming full circle. I started as a kid doing karate, and did that for about 5 or 6 years before I ever picked up a sword. And so a lot of this is integrating what I learned in the karate with what I learned with the sword, because they're the same thing. In Japanese, I don't speak Japanese, so I'm giving you this from what I learned from my teachers. There's a ideogram, I think it might be michi. I could be wrong on that. Anyway, it means road or path. Do. Do means road or path or way. It means a course you take to get someplace. And then there's jitsu, which means kind of like a technique. So there is jujitsu, and there's judo, and there's kenjutsu and kendo. And my teacher said that do means it's a way of life, and jitsu is a way of winning a fight. So, so I like that. Unfortunately, the English doesn't have any real parallel. We say martial art as opposed to sport, but that doesn't really say it as well. But I'll take it. My point is that martial art means that the thing that you are doing is something that should have an influence on everything you do, every minute, in your whole life. It permeates everything. It permeates you. Every breath you take. As opposed to a sport which you do, go down to the gym and shoot baskets. It's a finite, limited thing. And I think martial art in particular develops those qualities in a person which are of great value to a fighter, to a warrior. But they're also of value in everything else. And that's the point, is that, if you go downtown, I bet you, if you look really carefully and take notes, there will probably be very, very few people walking around with a sword on their hip. So if what we are doing only has practical value, or has any value at all, when you have a sword in your hand, that narrows it down quite a bit, in my opinion. I think instead, the things we learn from the sword have value for everything. And in particular, I think we can look at 5 states of consciousness that are common in martial arts and what they are. The first state of consciousness that I'd like to mention is what my teacher called Shoshin. And it means to have a mind like a child or like a beginner. That is to say, you're just open and discovering things brand new. There's a famous story about a guy goes to a teacher, and he's a know-it-all, and his teacher says, let's have some tea, and the teacher fills the guy's teacup until it's overflowing and running over on the table, and the guy says, oh, stop, the cup is full, you can't put any more in there. And the teacher says, well, yeah, and if you come to me with your cup full, I can't put anything in there either. So that's the beginner's mind. The beginner's mind is to Leave your bullshit behind. Enter into it fresh and just see what you can pick up. I used to love to visit different dojos, and regardless of my rank, I would always enter and wear a white belt, the way I was taught. And that's symbolic of that beginner's mind. It means I'm coming into your dojo as if I were brand new. Show me what you got. That's the beginner's mind. The next state of mind I'd like to mention is it's called Mushin. It means kind of like no mind at all. It doesn't mean being out of your mind. It means to have a mind like water. There's no place in particular, no particular shape, no preconceptions, no assumptions, right? To be utterly flexible, able to conform to the environment, whatever that means. The way you pour water into a cup, it takes the shape of the cup. You pour it into a bowl, it takes the shape of a bowl. You pour it into a riverbed, it takes the shape of the riverbed, right? To be able to mold yourself infinitely variably to the tactical circumstances, to the conditions of being. That's Mushin. This is also best expressed in the phrase, be here now, which my students hear a lot. Stole it from Baba Ram Das. Be here now. Not in the future, not in the past. Be here now. Whatever now is. I recommend you read Abraham Maslow, Religion, Values, and Peak Experiences. That's all about being in the now, being in the mind of Mushin. The next one is called, if I recall correctly, Fudoshin. And that means to have a mind that's focused and cannot be deterred. We call it put the point on the target, right? It means always keep your primary mission in focus and everything else doesn't matter. You know, this is the kind of concentration a cat has when they're stalking their prey. There's only one thing. And there could be an earthquake or an avalanche or, aliens landing on the lawn. Doesn't matter. That cat is focused. It also means to be cool. To be cool, for those of you who are not hip, to be cool means to be emotionally invulnerable. They can't touch you. Nothing can deter you from your commitment. That's Fudoshin. There's a state of mind we used to call Zanshin. We used to refer to this at the end of a series of things. It means a perfect finish. But more than that, it's that there is no finish. Right? At the end of your technique, whatever it is, the perfect finish is you are relaxed, but alert and attentive and ready for the next move, whatever it might have to be. That is, the fight is never over. We call this continue the phrase. Continue the phrase. The fight is never over. Even when your opponent's down and out, you watch. We don't put the sword back in the scabbard. We may transfer it to our left hand and watch. Is it really over? Or is it not? The last one is Senshin. And to me, this is expressed in the Lakota phrase, Itakuya Oyasya, which literally means all my relatives. Mitakuya Oyasin is an acknowledgement that everything is connected. I'm related to everything. Everything in the world, everything that exists, is family to me. And if that's true, then that suggests a benevolence to all the members of your family, the love of all life, the preservation and protection of all life, including the lives of your enemies, if you can manage that. And that to me is the highest state of mind and the real point to martial arts.